Imagine this: you're at the airport, rushing to catch your flight. Every second counts as you weave through the crowds, your heart racing. You reach the gate, but it's too late. The door is closed. You've missed your flight. Frustration floods over you. You watch helplessly as VoePass Flight 2283, the plane you were supposed to be on, taxis down the runway and lifts into the sky. What you don't know is that missing this flight just saved your life. The same thing happened with those 10 people who missed their flight due to going to the wrong gate. It's a sunny Friday morning at Cascavel Airport in southern Brazil. VoePass Flight 2283, an ATR 72-500, is preparing for its journey to São Paulo. The ATR 72 is a twin-engine turboprop, short-haul regional airliner developed and produced in France and Italy by aircraft manufacturer ATR. The number 72 in its name is derived from the aircraft's typical standard seating capacity of 72 passengers. The ATR 72 has also been used as a corporate transport, cargo aircraft, and maritime patrol aircraft. But on that day, no one knew that this flight would be the last flight of the ATR. At exactly 11:56 a.m., the plane took off for its journey. The plane, gleaming under the bright sun, carries 58 passengers and 4 crew members, each with their own destinations and dreams. Among them are doctors on their way to a medical conference, university professors, a DJ, a bodybuilder, and a judo referee. For these passengers, this flight is just a step in their journey. Little do they know, this flight will be their last. In the cockpit, the pilots go through their routine checks as the plane climbs to a cruising altitude of 17,000 feet. Everything seems normal, but a warning pops up on their radar: severe icing conditions in the area. Icing alert, the co-pilot says, a hint of concern in his voice. The captain acknowledges it, knowing they're flying within the danger zone. He orders the de-icing system to be activated, a system that inflates and deflates rubber tubes on the wings to break up any ice that might form. For a while, the flight continues smoothly. Passengers are reading, sleeping, and daydreaming about their plans in São Paulo. Then, exactly 1 hour and 20 minutes into the flight, as the plane passes near Vinhedo, a small city in São Paulo, the unthinkable happens. The plane begins to lose altitude, rapidly. In just 10 seconds, it dropped around 250 feet, then climbed 400 feet in 8 seconds, only to lose nearly 2,000 feet in the next 8 seconds. The plane then rapidly descended, losing roughly 17,000 feet in about a minute. Then, something happened that no one could have ever imagined. The last transmission was received at 1:22 p.m., and just 8 minutes later, the plane crashed into the quiet town of Vinhedo, northwest of São Paulo. The scene was devastating. The plane had crashed in the yard of a home, miraculously missing the surrounding residences. Smoke billowed from the wreckage as emergency responders arrived, but there were no survivors. All 62 passengers, including the 4 crew members, were gone. It's the deadliest airline disaster in Brazil since 2023, when 72 people lost their lives in a crash in Nepal. But what exactly happened that caused the 89-foot plane to spin slowly as it plummeted before crashing directly on its belly? Because this video clearly shows that the plane had no horizontal speed. The question of what had happened was simple to answer: the plane had stalled. A situation where the plane's wings lose the lift needed to stay in the air, causing it to stop flying and start fall. John Cox, who has been an airline pilot for 25 years, said that, "You can't get into a spin without stalling." But here, a question arises: why did it stall? Did it lose significant speed? Did ice build up on its wings? Or the two pilots tired or distracted? The leading crash theory so far is that the plane may have stalled partly because of severe icing, meaning ice formed on its wings or on other parts of the plane, reducing its aerodynamic abilities and increasing its weight. With such icing, a plane has to travel at faster speeds to avoid stalling. The way the aircraft fell, spinning out of control, is characteristic of someone who lost the functionality of the wing and the aircraft controls. This can happen because of ice. Brazilian officials had issued a warning about the potential for severe icing where the plane was flying when it crashed. However, the experts said, icing alone should not lead to a crash. Under most circumstances, pilots can prevent icing from causing a stall, even if the plane's systems fail. If the system that warns of icing malfunctioned, the pilots should have been able to see the ice on the wings and windshield wipers. Even if the de-icing system failed, pilots could lower the plane to warmer altitudes to melt the ice. But remember, this was Brazil, not Antarctica, and the temperature on the ground where the plane crashed was around 63 degrees. In that area there was an active warning for severe icing between 12,000 feet and 21,000 feet. 2283 was flying at 17,000 feet just before the crash. To descend to a lower altitude, pilots typically first alert air traffic controllers. But the surprising thing is that Brazilian officials said the pilots did not communicate with controllers just before the crash. There was at no time a declaration of any type of emergency from the aircraft. Experts were puzzled by the lack of communication. They said that they might have tried to speak, but the radio or communication system failed, or they did communicate, but air traffic control didn't receive it. If there was no communication, then it must have been something very quick and unexpected. If we go back about 30 years, icing was a main cause of a 1994 American Eagle crash of the same ATR plane model in Indiana, but the manufacturer has since improved the de-icing system. Crashes involving various models of the ATR-72 have resulted in 470 deaths going back to the 1990s. But this Friday's incident shook the entire world. The government said that there were 34 male and 28 female bodies in the wreckage. Crash investigators in Brazil said on Saturday that they had recovered the plane's 2 black boxes, one containing flight data and the other recordings from the cockpit, and were working to extract information from them. Which makes it clear that, was it the ice? A mechanical failure? Or a human error? The questions linger, but for the families of those lost, nothing will bring their loved ones back. The ATR-72's tragic history repeats itself once more, leaving behind a trail of grief and unanswered questions. And as for you, standing in the terminal, watching the news unfold, the reality sinks in, missing that flight was the luckiest moment of your life. Life can change in an instant. Make sure to subscribe for more stories that explore the thin line between fate and chance.